Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you're watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a lot of huge news to share with all of you today. So today's date is April 14th, 2025, and it's Monday. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys all had a great weekend and a great week last week. As I was not here, I was out of town on vacation in Oregon and Washington in the United States, and I had a great time. Saw a lot of beautiful forests over there. I sent you guys some community posts here on YouTube to let you know how my trip was going. We went to Multnomah Falls in Oregon, also checked out a beautiful waterfall over there. Definitely had a great time, and I couldn't wait to get back here and start sharing some news with you guys. So I hope you guys all had a great week. Let's go ahead and jump into the news here. We're going to start off with talking about major attacks inside of Ukraine that have been occurring over the last 24, 48 hours now. Specifically in Sumy, we have this report here on your screen. Russia attacked Sumy in Ukraine again, day after massive missile strike. Russia on Monday claimed its deadly missile attack on Ukraine's Sumy that killed and wounded scores, including children, had targeted a gathering of Ukrainian troops. So just yesterday, on April 13th, 2025, on Sunday, it was Palm Sunday in Ukraine. And we had Russia launching a massive attack onto Sumy. I think 2 ballistic missiles were fired to a center of a street. We had a trolley bus that was directly hit by one missile. Soon after, we had a cluster munition that was fired also and killed numerous amounts of people. I think we had 34 civilians being killed and over 115 people wounded. It was an absolutely insane attack. So we're going to talk about that, and also today, Ukraine being attacked again by drones, Sumy being hit hard with drones again. So I've got lots of video footage coming out from Ukraine talking about all these attacks. We also have some reports of fires going on in Russia today in St. Petersburg, some sort of production warehouse catching on fire over there, and just numerous other reports that I want to catch up with you guys on and talk about what's going on with this war. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to hop on over here to X. No mainstream news article to start off the video today, but we have this update here from Vicegrad24 breaking: Russian Shahed-type suicide drones are striking Sumy, the city in which 34 civilians were killed in yesterday's Russian ballistic missile attacks. So we've got this video 6 seconds long that we had for you on the waiting screen when you came in, so go ahead and take a look at this. So there's lots of videos today of multiple drones flying into the Sumy region of Ukraine and the city Sumy being heavily attacked today. We can see a massive fire that broke out here just due to drones, and this is after yesterday with that massive missile attack from Russia. Here's another one from next to explosion in Sumy. Again, the city is under attack by UAVs. According to preliminary information, Shahed flew over Sumy. So this video footage right here showing what appears to be a fire that has broken out as well. You can see here on the bottom of your screen, it is a little blurry, as it looks like whoever's recording this probably trying to protect the privacy of this area, so maybe the Russians don't try to attack it again. But we could definitely see some fires broke out there in Sumy today. Move on to another update from Max24. Sumy again. Here's another picture coming out showing lots of smoke from a fire that had broken out due to drone attacks from Russia today. So the Russians relentlessly attacking Ukraine once again. Here's another one from UA Voyager. Another grim morning for Ukraine, American friends. The terrorist state Russia has attacked Kharkiv. Here's another video from Kharkiv now showing a massive fire also. So multiple regions being attacked. I know mainly Sumy, Kharkiv, and Odessa being heavily attacked by Russian drones last night. I think we had around 62 drones fired from Russia that were attacking Ukraine. Here's another one from the Ukrainian Review. In Odessa, 8 people were injured as a result of the Russian attack. Civilian infrastructure, facilities, a medical facility, and cars were damaged. Okay, we got pictures coming out from Odessa as well. This is in southwestern Ukraine. We've got massive fires that broke out here. Lots of firefighter crews arriving on scene to put out the blaze on multiple warehouses and buildings inside of Odessa last night. So Odessa definitely getting hit very hard as well. Jumping on over to another update from Max24. Cars on fire on the road in Odessa after the attack by Shaheeds. Okay, so we've got another video coming out here. Unfortunately, I can't play the sound here because the man driving this vehicle does have music playing in his car. But we can see there is a massive fire over here in the streets as well. Probably a car that caught on fire due to one of these drone attacks in Odessa last night. So definitely a lot of attacks to report inside of Ukraine today. Here's another one from Max 24. FPV drone attacked Zaporizhzhia for the first time, state emergency service reported. So an FPV drone for the very first time reaching all the way into the city of Zaporizhzhia, which is pretty far away from the front line. So I'm not sure if they use like probably fiber optic drones to maybe reach this city. But for the very first time in this war, we have reports of FPV drones reaching the city of Zaporizhzhia. So I'm not sure if the Russians are getting closer down there. Maybe they are. But for the very first time, we've got pictures coming out showing damage. Looks like a vehicle, maybe a van or something here caught on fire. And we even have some damage to some buildings over here also from FPV drones reaching the city. So that's interesting. Now from Maria Avdiva, no, this isn't a mistake. It's Russia's calculated strategy to kill and destroy. So what she's actually talking about is this attack that occurred yesterday in Sumy with these missiles that were incoming, striking that trolley bus. 34 people being killed, at least as of right now, and upwards of like 117, I think, being wounded in the double tap strike over there. So she's talking about Donald Trump, actually. We had Trump coming out yesterday evening. I think he was aboard Air Force One, and he was responding to a reporter's comment regarding this strike. And basically, he just told the reporter that he thinks it was a horrible thing and that Russia made a mistake. Okay, so once again, we're still kind of seeing the same response coming out of Trump. He hasn't really changed his notion towards Russia and basically, holding Russia's back or maintaining their back. And when it comes to these strikes and not really condemning this at all, we're seeing a lot of European leaders coming out and condemning this strike. I'll show you some of the responses today. But the U.S., their position, at least Trump's position right now, is not to condemn any of these strikes right now. So very sad to have to report that, but that's the situation. These were the air raid alerts ongoing yesterday as Ukraine was being attacked by lots of missiles. Okay, so now from Vicegrad 24, 11-year-old Maxim Martinenko, if I'm saying that name right, was killed in yesterday's Russian ballistic missile attacks against Sumy. His parents, Mykola and Natalia, also lost their lives. The family was hit by the second missile with cluster munitions. 34 people were killed, 117 wounded. Okay, so very sad to have to report this, guys, but this was a young man who lost his life along with his parents inside the trolley bus that was attacked by one ballistic missile. And then soon after that, we had a cluster munition coming in as a lot of people were rushing over to save people that may have been trapped or wounded near the bus. The trolley bus, we had this cluster munition coming in as well and wounding even more people and killing scores of others. So very sad, and we have seen this multiple times for the Russians. They double tap a lot of areas. They'll usually hit it with a large HE round, and then soon after, that's when they will hit it with cluster munitions and a double tap attack. And a lot of times this kills a lot of medics who show up as well. So just imagine it's probably going to want to prevent a lot of medevacs from showing up to try to evacuate people out of there and get them to the hospitals. They're probably afraid they're going to get attacked as well as they try to, save anybody who might be injured. So here's another report from War Monitor. The face of Ukrainian firefighter in Sumy after spending hours clearing debris and uncovering body parts of women and children killed in Russia's unprecedented missile attack on a town square. Okay, so here's a picture coming out of a firefighter's face and his reaction after he was helping out with all these people who were injured and killed. So I can't imagine what it must have felt like. And if you notice, they're even wearing body armor here to protect themselves. So very sad situation, guys, to have to report. But I want to share some of these updates from yesterday as well. Now from Bliskovka, it was a second strike on Sumy that caused a large number of casualties, said City Military Administration Chairman Serhiy Krivoshenko, if I'm saying that correctly. The second ballistic missile fired by the Russians at Sumy was probably filled with fragmentation elements that exploded in the air. Krivoshenko wrote, okay, so this was probably the cluster munitions that were being fired. We can see lots of damage to this building as well nearby. It was an absolute horrific attack yesterday. Now moving on to Bliskovka, our response will be tough. We will destroy the occupiers, their military facilities, weapons and equipment, wherever they are. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reacted to the attack on Sumy. Okay, so this is Ukraine's military, their General Staff basically stating that they are going to go after Russia full force and respond to this attack, and they will destroy all the occupiers in all regions of Ukraine that are even currently controlled by Russia at this time. So they are very upset with this brutal attack yesterday. Now, from World Source News 24/7, breaking: Russian MOD, or the Ministry of Defense, 2 Iskander missiles struck Sumy, targeting Ukrainian military assets. Okay, so Russia's Ministry of Defense stating they went after a military target. Okay, but what we saw, and there was pictures yesterday. Unfortunately, I can't really show a lot of the video footage and pictures on here. They're just extremely gruesome. But the trolley bus got hit in Sumy. And we know that for a fact, and lots of innocent civilians, children, women being killed in this heinous attack here. And that's what the Russians are stating, that they went after a group of Ukrainian military personnel, is kind of what was being reported today. Now, from Yaroslav Trofimov, MERS: Russia committed a serious war crime, deliberate and intended, in Sumy. Okay, that's the incoming chancellor to Germany here very soon. That's what he stated. Keir Starmer from the UK, the Prime Minister, appalled by a horrific attack on civilians. That's what he stated. Emmanuel Macron, the President of France, said blatant disregard for human lives and international law. Okay, and then finally we have Donald Trump. This was his statement. He basically said it was a mistake. Okay, he claimed that while he was speaking to the reporter on Air Force One, that it was a mistake from what he heard from top Russian officials, that this was an act of an attack on Sumy that was complete mistake. They did not mean to go after civilians inside of Ukraine. But to me, that's what it looked like. It looked like a deliberate attack on civilians, considering a trolley bus was being hit and there was nothing but civilians on board and surrounding in the area. So we haven't heard or been able to confirm that there was any Ukrainian troops in the area of this attack. But we do know lots of innocent civilians were hit yesterday. Now, from X24, the Russian armed forces are already deliberately hitting passenger trains. Today, they fired drones at a train in the Cherniv region half an hour before departure. Luckily, the passengers had not yet arrived and there were no casualties. Okay, so even a civilian train that's being used to transport people around Ukraine being attacked by the Russians as well. Okay, so drones directly striking this train, and this would have been a train that would have had civilians aboard, and thankfully nobody was aboard while it was hit. But maybe Russia's trying to destroy their trains so that way they can't use them inside of Ukraine. But we can see lots of damage here. Thankfully, nobody was aboard. Now, from War Monitor, Pastor Mark Burns, Trump's spiritual advisor, said, "I was wrong. I now believe that supporting Ukraine is America first." Okay, so Mark Burns, okay, we haven't really talked about him much, but he's Trump's spiritual advisor. He came out, I think he was on a news station, I think it was News Nation, if I'm not mistaken. And he came out basically stating this. He's changing his position, and he now believes that supporting Ukraine is America first, when before he was not so much for Ukraine. Okay, so that's interesting. We're starting to see a turn of events here, at least with some top officials within the Trump administration. Will this get passed down to Donald Trump, and will Donald Trump ever change his mind? Maybe start siding with Ukraine more? I'm thinking highly likely not, but who really knows? I think that would probably be a last-ditch effort if we happen to see U.S. and Russian relations really start to fall apart, but we haven't really seen that yet. And still, as of right now, it appears that Trump is definitely standing on the side of Russia more than Ukraine, and not really standing up for Ukraine in maybe the way that a lot of people would prefer. Now, moving on to the Kiev Independent, U.S. offers sympathy to Ukraine after deadly Sumy attack, but no mention of pressure on Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed deepest condolences on behalf of the U.S. without condemning Russia's actions or calling for increased sanctions. Okay, this was being reported today by the Kiev Independent. You can see here. So here's again, more top officials from the Trump administration not really coming out and condemning Russia's actions at all. Even the Secretary of State Marco Rubio stating here, "Our deepest condolences for the people who lost their lives, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to end this war apparently, and that's really all that we have right now." We're not really seeing the U.S. coming out and condemning this at all, even though we're having dozens of people losing their lives, innocent civilians in Ukraine, and also over 100 more yesterday just in that one attack in Sumy being injured. Now, for more translated, Trump blames Zelenskyy and Biden for the war in Ukraine. Same old story. It's not his war, and so on. Okay, this came out today on April 14th, 2025. So I wanted to show you guys this recent post here from Donald Trump on his True Social platform. And he stated here, the war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. I just got here and for 4 years during my term had no problem in preventing it from happening. President Putin and everyone else respected your president. I had nothing to do with this war, but am working diligently to get the death and destruction to stop. If the 2020 presidential election was not rigged, and it was in so many ways, that horrible war would never have happened. President Zelenskyy and crooked Joe Biden did an absolutely horrible job in allowing this travesty to begin. There were so many ways of preventing it from ever starting, but that is the past. Now we have to get it to stop, and fast. So sad. So he's probably also responding to this attack yesterday and pretty much taking all the blame off himself and saying this has nothing to do with him, that he just arrived in office, which is true. He just got in there a few months ago. But at the same time, he also did come out multiple times during his presidential campaign, as he was running for campaign for re-election as president, that he would end this war in 24 hours, that he would even have it wrapped up as president-elect, and we never saw any of that happening. Now it's dragging out further past what he probably even expected within like a 3 to 4 month period. Now we're approaching almost May. This war has not come to an end, and it's probably not going to end anytime soon. So he's kind of taking the blame off himself here, as you can see from this statement, and blaming President Biden, the former president of the United States, and also President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. So let me know what you guys think on that. Now from next, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Radoslaw Sikorski, said Russia was making a mockery of peace efforts. This was a statement today from Radoslaw Sikorski, Foreign Minister of Poland. Take a look at this, guys. 28 seconds.
Ukraine unconditionally agreed to a ceasefire over a month ago. The heinous attacks on Kryvyi Rih and on Sumy is Russia's mocking answer. I hope that President Trump, the US administration, see that the leader of Russia is mocking their goodwill, and I hope the right decisions are taken. Thank you.
All right, so let me know what you guys think on this. Do you think that Russia is mocking the United States and Donald Trump's what he calls quote-unquote goodwill on trying to, enter Ukraine and Russia into peace negotiations, try to end this war? I mean, we know the U.S. is trying to do that right now. Now, some people might say they're not working hard enough or whatever it might be. People might have different opinions on that. But he's basically stating here that Russia does not care to end this war. And we've kind of been seeing that over the past few weeks now. I've been letting you guys know that as well, that Russia is not ready to end this war right now, and they're basically mocking the United States and their attempt to try to end this war. So let me know what you think on that as well. So we'll move on to another update now from LX Summer 1. Good morning, sunshines. Enjoy your coffee and let's go. St. Petersburg, Russia. This morning, a major fire occurred in a hangar in the Primorsky district on Marshal Novikov Street 36. Near the Special Automation Production Shop. Okay, so we have a fire over here in St. Petersburg that has broken out as well today. Take a look at this. All right, so not 100% sure if this has anything to do with military relations here, if maybe this facility is being used for military purposes. We don't really know, but what we have seen many times in the past is in St. Petersburg and also Moscow, just constant fires breaking out, and it's usually a massive facility, whether it be a hospital or some sort of production plant that catches on fire. So was this some sort of sabotage attack in Russia? We don't really know at this time, but if we get more information, I'll give you guys that info later, okay? Now for Max 24, on April 12th, a fire broke out in Arkhangelsk, if I'm saying that right. That name is kind of hard to pronounce, in Russia. On the territory of the Regional Department of Internal Affairs, 4 departmental vans of gas type were destroyed. According to the GUR, the fire spread from the cars to the department building. Okay, so we had a major fire also just a couple days ago. It was actually being reported today, though. You can see here April 14th. And maybe this was some sort of sabotage. We'll go ahead and pause it here so we can continue narrating for you. But we can see here a fire that broke out also. This is far north into Russia, and to me, I'm thinking this is most likely sabotage, considering that the GUR is reporting this. Looks like it's a Ukrainian video. So we had some what appears to be vans that were being destroyed over here. The gas type, I think these are military type vehicles also that could have been destroyed. So we had this video that just broke out today. You could see here the beginning of this is somebody was approaching the facility to catch these things on fire is what it looks like to me. And then we have gasoline being poured here on these vans. Okay, so pretty crazy video coming out there. We'll jump on over to another update from Max 24, Belgorod region. Okay, also in Belgorod, as far as we know, the Ukrainians should be still in that area. I haven't seen any reports over the last week that they've pulled out of there, but we had a massive explosion over here in the Belgorod region. Was this maybe a Russian warplane dropping another glide bomb too early? Maybe that could be the case, but we could see a massive fire that broke out here in the distance in the Belgorod region. Now for Max 24, airstrike on warehouse with various types of UAVs and equipment in Tyatkino, Kursk region, according to Sonyashnik. The enemy equipped these workshops for preliminary preparation of UAVs and for their storage. Okay, this was video coming out today also of a recent airstrike in the Kursk region. Okay, and we should be able to see on this one right here. Here we go. We'll be able to see that direct strike on this facility right here. Ukrainian warplanes launching a massive aerial attack here on this facility that was storing UAV drones. Okay, so massive hit in the Kursk region once again. Now for Max 24, Merz, who is Friedrich Merz, the incoming chancellor in Germany. I've always said that I would agree to supply Taurus missiles to Ukraine, but only in agreement with European partners. Our European partners are already supplying cruise missiles. The British are doing it, the French are doing it, and the Americans are doing it anyway, he said. Okay, so it looks like we're still on a good path to be hearing here very soon, probably in the next couple of months, that Germany's going to be sending these Taurus missiles, these green ones right here in the middle. These are cruise missiles that have a pretty far range, and they could use these to maybe even attack the Kerch Bridge down in Crimea. And we'll see if Ukraine ends up getting these. We don't really know for sure yet, but there's been a lot of positive talk about this from Friedrich Merz. We'll see if he steps up to the plate and actually delivers these to Ukraine, as Ukraine's been calling for these for well over a year now. So here's also an update on UNN. Just wanted to show you this real quick. Merz election as German Chancellor is scheduled for May 6th. The German Bundestag is preparing for the election of the Chancellor on May 6th, subject to approval of the coalition agreement. Merz previously stated plans to form a government before Easter. Okay, so looks like by May 6th, we're going to be seeing him coming in to his position as German Chancellor. Okay, so we do have an actual date now. Looks like it's about 3 weeks away or so. So that was reported on UNN today. Now for those in technical, Japan is working towards joining NATO's Security Assistance and Training for Ukraine NSATU command in Germany. The move would reportedly have Japan take a more involved role in training Ukrainian forces, potentially sending troops to Europe to do so. Okay, so even the Japanese going to be getting involved with helping out Ukraine and training them here very soon and trying to join NATO security assistance and training for Ukraine. So that's very big news. Looks like Japan is going to start playing a bigger role in helping out Ukraine in this fight against Russia. Also from Vicegrad 24, breaking, Zelenskyy announces that Ukraine is willing to pay the USA $15 billion for 10 Patriot air defense batteries. It would be one of the largest orders for the Patriot and would make Ukraine the second largest Patriot operator ahead of Germany and Saudi Arabia with 16 batteries. Okay, so right now they've got about 6 Patriot systems in operation in Ukraine, and Ukraine wants to buy another 10 of these systems for $15 billion, okay? And I think there was a report, if I'm not mistaken, just a few days ago that Ukraine was willing to spend somewhere around $50 billion or so for weapons from the United States. And that's going to put basically the U.S. in the hot seat, because obviously the U.S. could use the money for that. And also, Ukraine basically saying they've got the money or can get the money from the EU and also their own funding to purchase lots of weapons from the United States. And maybe that's something that Donald Trump may not want. to completely supply Ukraine with all these weapons. But something that he has stated in the past is that if he were to supply weapons to Ukraine in the future, they would not just hand them over for free, that they would want payment for it. Okay, so that could be interesting if this war does continue. 50 billion is definitely a lot of weapons that Ukraine could potentially receive, and these Patriot air defense systems could be very important and vital for them to protect their skies. We continue to see these horrendous attacks inside of Ukraine, like yesterday. Now, from Max 24, Zelenskyy said that Ukraine has not received additional Patriot systems that were promised at the NATO summit in Washington. I respect the choice of the USA, but when the USA did not give us or sell us such systems, we are ready for any format. The question is not about money. Okay, so apparently he's stating that, Zelensky's coming out and stating that they did not receive additional Patriot systems that were supposed to be promised from a NATO summit back in Washington a little while back. And we've been seeing this a lot recently, that Ukraine does not get a lot of weaponry that's promised from Western partners, even Europe many times. Apparently there's several Patriot batteries that could have been sent to Ukraine from the US but did not get sent for whatever reason, and it has nothing to do with money. Now, from Noel reports, Lithuania is pushing for the EU's 17th sanctions package against Russia to target Rosatom, Russian LNG, which is liquefied natural gas exports, and the Shadow Fleet. Putin is challenging everyone again. Europe needs to act, said Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys ahead of the EU Ministry of Foreign Affairs Council. Okay, so Lithuania pushing for another 17th sanctions package from the EU. I think we should be hearing about that very soon, sometime coming this week. I do have another report about this as well. From Bliskovka, the heads of EU foreign ministers will discuss security guarantees for Ukraine tomorrow in Luxembourg after the cessation of hostilities and the 17th package of sanctions against Russia, according to EP. In particular, they will consider the initiative of the Coalition of the Determined regarding a monitoring mission in Ukraine after the ceasefire and increased military support. The process of Ukraine's accession to the EU and Hungary's blocking of negotiations will also be discussed. You can see this came out yesterday, April 13th, so I think this should be held today, this whole talk with EU foreign ministers in Luxembourg, and talking about this 17th package of sanctions going on to Russia. They're going to go after their Shadow Fleet, some more liquefied natural gas exports, and also talking about Hungary and trying to prevent Hungary from blocking Ukraine from getting into the EU, because they've been coming out stating that a lot recently over the past several months, that they would block a lot of attempts of Ukraine trying to get into the EU, possibly even trying to get into NATO or whatever it might be. So some nations have also been calling for trying to prevent Hungary from blocking Ukraine and maybe removing their voting rights. We'll see how that unfolds here very soon. Now, for Bliskovka, Lithuania has allocated 10 million euros for the production of Ukrainian long-range weapons, according to the Ministry of Defense. The department added that another tranche is expected for the development in this area, or of this area, excuse me. Okay, so Lithuania allocating 10 million euros, okay, so for long-range weapons. Not really sure what those might be. Would those be like missiles, maybe cruise missiles, or maybe drones? Could be really anything. But some sort of long-range weapons. Looks like Lithuania stepping up big and helping out Ukraine in that field. Now, for more translated, either this week or next, we will deliver 10,000 rounds of 155mm ammunition, said Estonian Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur. He also added that Estonia will deliver 750,000 food packages for Ukrainian soldiers. Okay, so also Estonia stepping up big, helping out with 155mm ammunition, 10,000 rounds for them, and also 750,000 food packages for the Ukrainian soldiers, so that way they can eat as well. So very big support from them. Now, from Max 24, U.S. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine arrived in Kiev. Okay, this is him today arriving on the locomotive in Kiev. Not really sure what's going to come out from these talks, but we do have a Democratic senator coming from the United States that has arrived in Kiev today, maybe to speak with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Now, from Vicegrad 24, NATO is likely to increase the required annual military spending by member states from 2% to somewhere between 3 to 4%. Speaking at a press conference today, Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson stated that Sweden is getting ready for this new requirement. Okay, so this is very big news. This is him right here, Ulf Kristersson, the Prime Minister of Sweden. They're getting ready for NATO to start boosting defense spending, okay? And they're going to be probably requiring somewhere between 3 to 4% for all the NATO members to boost their spending. We've been hearing about this a lot recently, so it looks like that's coming very soon, guys, somewhere between 3 and 4% requirement. Now, for Max 24, the fall in oil prices due to Trump's trade war is draining Putin's military coffers. At current prices, Russia could lose about a trillion rubles this year, which would knock 0.5% off GDP growth, according to the Financial Times. However, it will take several months for lower prices to have a significant impact on budget revenues. All right, so what we have been seeing with the oil market is due to all these tariffs that have been going on from Trump recently, the stock market's been crashing like crazy, but oil has definitely been falling a lot. I mean, we can see from the peak over here, right about $70 a barrel, a little bit over that. It's been falling a lot over the past 4 months, okay, all the way down to about 51, 52 dollars per oil barrel. And I checked today, I think we were sitting at around like $61 a barrel, but I know Russia, they trade a little bit lower, so it looks like it's right about 52 or so right now. Okay, so it's got to be massive losses for the Russian economy. This is all at a time where their economy's already been struggling for a while. They have high inflation over there. Now, with this whole decrease in oil prices, this is going to hamper their ability to stay in this fight, and it's going to make it much tighter for them to finance this war. So I'm curious to see how this will play out in the near term as we move forward down the road, okay? Now, for Max 24, I believe that Russian narratives prevail in the United States. It seems to me that the vice president is justifying Putin's actions. This is a change in reality. The Russians are the aggressors and we are the victims, says Zelenskyy. This was him yesterday on 60 Minutes. I think it was yesterday, actually, or maybe Saturday, over the last 24, 48 hours when he was holding this meeting on 60 Minutes, talking a lot about this war. This was one of the statements coming out here that he thinks that Russian narratives are prevailing in the United States. I mean, we see a lot that Trump comes out basically standing more on the side of Russia versus Ukraine. Could that ever change in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I'm thinking most likely it won't. This was just a statement coming out from Zelenskyy today. Apparently, also, he came out on X a lot and was thanking a lot of the EU leaders who were coming out and condemning this horrible strike yesterday in Sumy, which we've seen strikes like this so many times before, but this was probably one of the worst attacks that we've seen in Ukraine in a little while now. Zelensky's pretty much coming out, showing support for all the EU leaders for this horrendous attack, and also kind of sending a message to the U.S. government and Trump, letting them know that, hey, you should be condemning this and not to be basically supporting Russia's effort while they continue to kill lots of civilians in Ukraine. Now, from Bliskovka, Ukraine has submitted its proposals for a subsoil deal to the U.S. Deputy Prime Minister Ola Stefanishna said. She noted that some of the agreements have been reached. Okay, so this is about the minerals deal, most likely. We've still been kind of seeing a stall to this, and as far as we know, that there's still efforts being made on both ends to try to reach an agreement, but Ukraine wants a lot of security guarantees for their country in order to do that. So it looks like Ukraine is moving in the right direction to try to sign some deal with the U.S. We'll see if that happens, but apparently they submitted some proposals for this deal in the near future. Now, from Max 24, Zelenskyy invited EU leaders to Kiev on May 9th to counter Putin's victory parade, according to Politico. Sabotage extended the invitations during today's meeting in Luxembourg, urging allies to demonstrate unity and determination in the face of the greatest aggression in Europe since World War II. Separately, Zelenskyy would like to receive leaders of the coalition of the willing countries on May 9th. In particular, discussions are ongoing regarding the visit to Ukraine of several heads of state, including future German Chancellor Merz. Okay, so May 9th is going to be the victory parade in Moscow in Russia. And, the Russians hold this parade every single year. And looks like Ukraine wants to counter that by inviting a lot of the EU leaders into Kiev around that time. Okay, so we should be hearing about that coming up in just about maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. Now, for more translated, I call on the EU to impose the toughest sanctions against Russia in order to strangle its economy and prevent it from continuing military actions, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said today. He noted that Ukraine had agreed to a ceasefire over a month ago, while Russia has shown absolutely no intention of moving in that direction. Okay, so once again, another top EU leader is the French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot. Probably pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize. But he's coming out saying that the EU should impose maximum sanctions onto Russia, strangle their economy, prevent them from continuing this fight. and that Ukraine's doing the right thing by stepping forward, willing to hold a unconditional ceasefire with Russia. Russia should be doing the same, but they're showing no signs of agreeing to that at all in the future. So the EU should step up and sanction them like crazy. Now, from NOAA reports, for the first time, Ukraine's unmanned system forces have unveiled its new laser weapon, Trizub. Here's the video right here, guys. We'll play it without sound. Unfortunately, they got music here, but it can destroy bombs and missiles up to 3,000 meters and aircraft, helicopters, recon drones at up to 5,000 meters. So that we've talked about the Trizub laser a lot. This was a little report coming out today showing this thing in action as Ukrainian soldiers were testing it out. You can see here they use a joystick and a computer and try to get this laser on these targets and shoot down incoming drones. And we already know that it's been used multiple times in the past. So this was a new video unveiling this thing today. Here's a little clip of it shooting down a target in the skies as well. Okay, so yeah, we've heard this multiple times over the past couple months, excuse me. But just today, they released a new video showing this, okay? All right, now moving on to MAX 24, Ukrainian air defense shot down 40 out of 62 Shahed UAVs, 11 drones suppressed by electronic warfare. So here's the number of drones coming into Ukraine last night, 62 Shahed UAVs, and 11 drones were suppressed by electronic warfare, and it looks like we had more than 40 of them shot down. So good majority shot down, but still some damage to report in Ukraine just over the last 24 hours. Finally, our last update of the day from the Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of April 14th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Here's our final update. Russia's losses as of April 14th, 1,310 troops, 42 AFVs, 179 vehicles and fuel tanks, 19 tanks, 59 artillery systems, 119 UAVs, 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, and 2 special equipment. Okay, guys, so last updates here. We've got a lot of reports here of equipment being destroyed. 1,310 troops, right about the same. 42 AFVs, a lot more than usual. Same thing, 179 vehicles and fuel tanks. A lot of vehicles being destroyed. At 19 tanks, almost 20. That's definitely on the higher end. And then 59 artillery systems. We've been seeing right about 40 to 60, if not more, recently with some of these numbers. And finally, some numbers here on the side that last time I was doing some reports for you guys before I went on vacation, we were seeing multiple days, which is nothing on this column here. So it looks like we had 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, 2 special equipment being destroyed. So lots being destroyed over the last 24 hours in this war. So I want to thank you guys so much again for tuning in for this update, and it's great to see all of you. Hope you are all doing well, you're all safe and healthy. And I am back full steam ahead. We're going to be putting out as many updates as I possibly can for you guys. Give you guys updates coming out from this war over here, maybe some updates about Iran or some other wars going on around the world right now. So good to see all of you. Hope you guys all have a great day on Monday, April 14th, 2025. Thanks again so much for tuning in for this. And if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.